Hello, once again. My name is Arnold, and you're welcome to my YouTube channel where I take you from beginner level in chess to an advanced level IM. Pawn to Pro is a YouTube channel that teaches people chess from beginner to professional. You can like, subscribe, and share this video. Today we'll be doing our final video on a piece movement, and that will be the pawn. The pawn. This is a pawn. Pawns are easily identified in a chess set by the fact that they are usually smaller than the other chess pieces, and the fact that each color, the black pieces and the white pieces, will have 8 pawns. Let me make it bigger. In a chess game, pawns move one square at a time. Pawns do not move backwards. Unlike the knights, that can move both in front and backwards, and other pieces, pawns do not move backwards. One step at a time. Forward. Pawns move one step at a time forward. Each color have 8 pawns. The black pieces have 8 pawns. The white pieces have 8 pawns. From this position, the pawn move one step forward. They do not move backwards. But there is an exception. There is an exception. On the pawn first move of a game, if you are just starting a game and the pawn has not moved, on the pawn first move in a game, each pawn has an option of moving 2 squares forward. Let me say it again. In a starting position of a chess game, each pawn have an option of moving 2 squares forward. Now, in this setup that I have here, the pawn on f2, this pawn, can move to f3, or it can move to f4. However, the pawn on e3 has already moved once in this game, from e2 to e3, and so it can only move 1 square forward to e4. On the black pieces side, the pawn on b7 can either move 1 square or 2 square forward. To b5. But the pawn on e6 has already moved, so it can only move 1 square forward to e5. Now, let me summarize it again. In a starting position of a chess game, all the pawns have an option to move 2 squares forward or 1 square forward. Pawns do not move backwards. If a pawn moves 1 square forward, the 2 square option has been eliminated, so it can only move one more square, 1 1. You could decide to move your pawn 2 squares on the first move and then 1 1. Or you could decide to move it 1 square and then 1 1 square. That's how pawn move. Like all pieces except the knight, pawns cannot jump over their own pieces. In this setup, the pawn on d3 is being blocked by its own bishop, so the pawn cannot move. Unlike the pawn on g2, which have an option of moving 2 steps forward and then 1 1, or 1 step forward and then 1 square again. So a pawn, like other pieces except the knight, cannot jump over its own piece. Only pawns have a different way of capturing than moving. To capture, pawns always move 1 square diagonally. Pawn moves 1 square forward and capture 1 square diagonally. Observe the pawn on e4. It can move forward to e5, but it can also capture the black bishop on d5 or the black knight on f5. Pawn takes knight. Now look at the black pawn on f6. It is blocked by its own knight on f5. But this black pawn can capture this white bishop on e5. The white rook on h4 is 2 squares away. So the black pawns cannot capture this white rook. Pawn takes bishop. Pawns are the weakest, very weak member of the chess army because of the limitation in movement. However, when the pawns work together, they are an important part of our army. Pawns are very important to the game during tactics and strategy. And sometimes a single pawn can make the difference between winning and losing. Now we will continue with more drills or exercises on how to move the pawn and capture with it to cement our knowledge. We are going to move pawns and capture it in the following drills. In this drill, the pawn on f3 can legally move on one of the highlighted squares. Which of these squares can a pawn move to? Pawn moves one square forward.
Correct.
Another drill with a more crowded board. There are highlighted squares on the board. Which of these pawns can legally move to one of these highlighted squares? Remember that black pieces are moving downwards and white pieces are moving upwards. So which of these pawns can legally move to one of these highlighted squares? Pawn moves forward one square. So there are no highlighted square. Forward one square. Forward one square or forward two squares. This pawn cannot move, it's being obstructed by this white knight. Forward one square. Forward, forward. So the only pawn that can move to a highlighted square is the pawn on e7. Pawns can move one square or two squares on a first move.
Correct.
Another drill, only one of the pawns on this board can legally move to one of these highlighted squares. Moving or capturing in one of the highlighted squares, which of the pawns? Let's try with the black pawns first. Pawns move forward one square, forward one square, forward one square. White pawns forward one square, forward, forward. So the only pawn on this board that can move legally one square forward is f5 pawn. By capturing, pawn move forward one square and capture diagonally one square. Diagonally one square. This diagonally one square. So white pawns can move this way.
Correct.
It was white turn to move. Another drill. This pawn on e2. You have to identify all the squares on which it can move to, including capture. Identify the squares this pawn can move to, including capture. Pawn moves forward one square or two square on the first move. And this is the first move of this pawn. So it can move to the square. You decide to move to the square. And pawn capture one square diagonally. So these are the squares this pawn can move to, including capture. Another drill, a black pawn on d7. We have to identify the squares it can move to, including capture. Pawn capture diagonally one square, and there are no opponent piece in its path. So it can move to the square, one square, one square. No, it's being obstructed, so it can move to this square. This square is being obstructed.
That's right.
We have an advanced pawn on e6. Advanced because pawn starts on the second rank or the seventh rank. And it has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 squares forward. Now we have to identify the squares this pawn can move to, including capture. One square forward and capture diagonally. So this pawn can move one square forward or it capture this knight on d7. In this drill, we have to move the white pawn located on b2 to this square d7, these highlighted squares. While moving this pawn to d7, we have to capture our opponent pieces that will find on our path. So in this exercise, the black pieces will not move, only the white pieces will move. So move this way, one step, we won't go two steps. If we go two steps on our first move, we will be unable to capture the C4 pawn.
Correct.
We continue, capture this knight, which is on a diagonal of the pawn, one square diagonal.
Correct.
And then we'll move forward one square.
Correct.
And then we capture rook on d6. Pawn capture diagonally one square.
Correct. You got it right.
And we've got our pawns to d7. From b2 to d7. So you observe how the pawn changed file. It was on a b file and ended on a d file. In this drill, we are using the black pawns, the black pawn that is located on f7 and moving it to d2 in the fewer possible moves. You know, in chess, you have to be efficient. If it takes you 5 moves or 4 moves to do a piece of task, you prefer the 4 moves, so in fewer possible moves. Now, we will decide to move the pawn one square on our first move. That will be move 1, move 2, then we capture move 3, move 4, and move 5. That will be 5 moves. Or we could move 2 squares forward, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 2 squares forward will be the preferable one, and that is efficiency.
Correct.
Now we could move this pawn forward, but then we'll be in danger of being captured by this other by the white pawn on g3. So capture rook. Pawn moves forward 1 square and capture diagonally 1 square.
Correct.
1 square forward again.
Correct.
And finally we capture the pawn, the rook on d2.
You got it right.
In this exercise, we are to move the pawn from e2 forward, and we are to capture a piece, a black piece on every move, and the black pieces will not move. So pawns move forward 1 square and capture diagonally. So we are concerned about capturing diagonally. So we are concerned about diagonal moves. So first, diagonally, or diagonally. There are no pieces here, so we use this one.
Correct.
Next one, this way. Capture diagonally.
Correct.
And we capture diagonally as well. The pawn capture diagonally 1 square.
Correct.
1 square diagonally.
Correct.
And finally, we capture the last piece in our path, the knight on f7.
Good. You got them all.
In this exercise, we are to capture the white pieces of our black pawns on every move. This black pawn, we are to capture these white pieces on every move. Pawns move forward 1 square and capture diagonally 1 square. diagonally, and the black pieces are moving downwards.
Correct. 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 Correct.
And finally, we capture the last piece in our path. Pawn takes e2.
Good. You got them all.
Another drill. This time around, we have to capture an opponent piece with one of our pawns. It could be a white pawn, it could be a black pawn. So observe the board. Which one of these pawn is attacking an opponent piece and can capture on the next move? There are no opponent pawn captured diagonally. There are no opponent piece. There are no opponent piece. There are no opponent piece. There are no opponent piece in this path. This pawn is blocked by this pawn, and likewise, this pawn is blocking this pawn. D5 is blocking D4. F3 is blocking F4. So which one of these pawns can capture an opponent piece? Pawn capture one square diagonally. A5. A5. This pawn can capture B4, the rook on B4 diagonally.
Correct.
Our last drill. Only one of these pawns on this board can capture an opponent piece. The white pawns or black pawns. Which of these pawns can capture an opponent piece in the next move? Here, the pawn captured diagonally, so there's no piece here. Diagonally, diagonally. Aha, the knight. The knight is in this path. The queen is far. So this pawn on e5 can take the knight on f6. So pawn takes f6.
That's right.
Pawns are the weakest piece in a chess army, and they can move on the first move either one square or on the first move two square. If a pawn move after his first move is only entitled to one move forward, pawns capture diagonally one square. Diagonally one square. Thanks for your time. Like, share this video, and subscribe. Join me in our next video where we'll be doing a chess piece summary, and then you begin to play chess. Have a nice day. Bye.